Hi YouTube, this is Ryan from Ryan's Journey coming at you with my 2-month Surgaversary. I know some people don't like the word. I don't mind it, so too bad. Going to talk about a few things today, okay? Going to go to numbers first. Then I'm going to talk about kind of what I've been doing. I got a new gym now. I'll talk a little bit about that, what's going on with me. And then there was 4 videos from 4 fellow YouTube posters, and the videos really were impactful to me, and so I'm going to touch on those a little bit and share some thoughts I have, and then pretty much just wrap up from there. Today I'm on my lunch break from work, and I'm calling it like a lunchtime session, but what it boils down to is that sometimes the most peaceful time I get is on my lunch break, because my son's at preschool, the wife's working, and my house is a little bit less chaotic. So it kind of works out on lunch times, even though sometimes I feel a little crammed on my lunch to try to get these in, but sometimes it's the best time you can. And I'm coming at you Wednesday when usually I do my updates on Tuesday. That goes to show you that I've been a little bit busy. So numbers. I started this journey on November 18th, 2014, or excuse me, 2013. That was my first appointment with my surgeon that was referred to me by one of my customers, Santa Barbara, California. At that day, the first time I decided, am I going to do surgery or not, I weighed 326. Okay. About 3 months later, on February 24th, I had my surgery. That day, I weighed 294. Last week, at my 7th week post-op, I was 252.6. And this week, as of yesterday, when I weighed in, I was 247.2. So nice. That's a 5.4 loss for the week. I'll take it. That is a total loss since my start of my journey at 326 of 78.8, and since surgery 46.8. So not bad for 2 months worth of work, right? So that's it as far as the numbers go. Close that laptop. I'm using a new computer out here at my little office in my garage, and it's a PC that I didn't know if it had enough graphics cards to handle this higher def webcam, but so we're going to try it. I tested it earlier this morning and it seemed to work fine, so we'll see. All right, and so what am I doing? So what I have going on lately is I started a new gym yesterday. I went yesterday and I went today. And I mentioned it in a previous video that I wanted to do a gym that had swimming. So this gym, and I thought it'd be longer to get to. It's probably another mile or two, but it's kind of off the highway, and I live kind of near the highway, so it's probably 4 miles total, but to get there. But it actually is quicker, I think, than my other gym that's maybe a mile closer. So it's convenient, and it's a little more expensive, but you get the full range of things. They got a spa, pool, etc. But so today I woke up early. I got there about 7 a.m. and did lap swim. Since my knee has been hurt, an update on that, it is feeling a little better, but it's still not like yesterday. I tried to do a little elliptical, and it just really wasn't feeling the elliptical machine, so I cut that kind of short, just did my weights. But this morning I went in and did the pool, so I swam a bunch of laps. That was good. I didn't put a number on it or quantify it. It's just kind of my first time back out swimming again. I used to do laps at a gym I had in Oregon years ago, so I'm used to swimming laps. And I also got out and got into the spa, the hot tub, and then I did a little bit of the sauna. So, and I noticed that afterward, throughout the day today, my knee has been feeling better. So I don't know if it's the swimming or if it's the hot tub, but that's something I'm going to continue. In fact, I think I'm going to go again after work today. Make it twice in one day. Why not? But yeah, trying to get back exercising again after my knee that set me back. It's been about a week and a half since I've been set back with that. So that's important. So that's kind of cool, the gym. For Bobby out there, if you're watching, I got 2 gyms within a couple miles. But no, I see that you're checking out one that's kind of close to you. So, hopefully that one works out and you like it. And then let's see what else got going on. So last week my video got cut short, and I was going to get into challenges. My wife and my son have been sick for about 2 weeks. They both were on antibiotics. My wife started getting better. My son was getting worse. I ended up getting him. That's when I got him on the antibiotics. And then me, I'm weight loss surgery patient, trying not to get sick. But my immune system held up strong, and that's something worth noting here. Is that Yeah, I did take airborne a couple of days there when I was starting to feel it coming on. But, just my multivitamins I take every day, my vitamin Bs, my multivitamins, my just the eating better, being healthier. I think it helps me. My immune system is stronger now. So that's very, very exciting. I did have about 2 days where I started feeling a little bit like I was getting sick. But you know what? It fought through and I was fine. So maybe one day at the worst was really, worth even mentioning that I didn't feel well. So that was really cool. Okay, I'm going to get into some videos. Now, these 4 videos are from Fat King's Phil, Sarah NerdinOregon, Less of Sarah, and James RNY. Those are the 4 vids. I'm going to do a shout out vid for like everybody I watch, and I will do that. I've mentioned a few of you here and there, but I really watch a lot of you, and I appreciate all of you. But let's start with Phil. Phil's someone I watch all the time. He's someone I've really learned from, someone I can relate to a lot. We're similar height, started, similar weights, had similar issues as far as not being able to get into that 300 range. I'm someone who always played sports and exercised, and just exercises became not enough as I got older and as I became someone who worked at a desk a lot of times. No matter what I exercised, and I even tried cutting calories down. It worked temporarily. It's just something I couldn't do. My metabolism cannot handle a full stomach, and so I can relate. But I made some notes here. I'm going to kind of try to read them here below where my camera is. First of all, Phil, that was the most real that I've seen you. Most real. And it was encouraging to see you that way, but in a way, I felt myself feeling bad because I just feel like I'm not that real in my videos, and to cut loose and say things that are that vulnerable. And I want to, though. I want to. I think that people learn from that. I think it touches people, and it definitely impacted me. So something I'm going to try to take away from that, and share maybe some more stories that I hold back. Um, Not just go through the motions. Let's see. Another thing, Phil, I've always had that. I was an overweight kid, and I always felt like I had to prove something to somebody. Like I was always counted out. So my whole life I had to overachieve to prove what I was doing. And being a heavy person and having that naturally, we have to work harder. We have to do things. We have to be smarter. We have to do things more efficiently, and we have some limitations, and so we've had to learn how to overcome. And I've always felt like I've been proving wrong, and to this day I'm having to prove to people. And I think that's maybe a positive fear that drives us a little bit. So relate to you there. One thing you mentioned about your marriage, and that's one thing that speaking about me being vulnerable, I haven't talked about my marriage a lot, and I think that there was a consensus from like maybe my family and myself where I thought as I become more attractive and get healthier and get my physique back, that there would be more of a sexual attraction from her and more of just a natural desire to want to do more for me and sacrifice more for me and be there more, and the relationship would get better. And I think that was a bad assumption to just assume that would get better just by physically changing. And something that when I talked to my psychologist, he asked me at the end, what do you want to get out of the surgery? And I thought about it for a second. What I came back at in an honest moment is I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father for my son that's 3 years old. I want to be a better person, just a better version of myself, someone that is how I see myself more like that. And that's what I'm going to get into more on Less of Sarah's video after that. But, that I think if anything, there's a tendency for her, and this might be different than Phil's wife's situation, but there's a tendency for her to be more self-conscious of herself. And creates more fears that way. Like, oh, is he going to lose weight? And is this going to happen? And fears if we can eliminate fears, our lives would be the way they're supposed to be. The way they're meant to be would be our true selves. Authentic self is something that I use. If we didn't have fears incorporated. And so anytime you got fears flooded into a relationship, it's going to cause trouble. And, I would say that our relationship is as good as it's been. I mean, we're not having problems now, but I thought that side would get stronger. And I think that it's going to take more of an effort on my part and her part outside of just losing the weight and an attraction and a desire to want to do more and to not take that person for granted as much. I think that there's more to it than just the physical part. There's going to be some activities, some communications. There's going to be more to that, and that's part of the journey that I'm not 100% knowing of what that's going to look like, but that's going to happen. So that's something worth noting, that's not happening naturally, and I'm early on, but it's good to hear from Phil that you were going through something where you're having to rediscover some things there and with the marriage, and so that helped me. So glad you mentioned that, and let's see. Okay. But yeah, just great video, Phil. I appreciate you being open and honest with that, and glad we can be a part of your journey. So thank you. Next, NerdinOregon. So Sarah, NerdinOregon, she mentioned that, and it's gotten a lot of feedback and other people in the YouTube community, but she says that it's not just a number that we're going to. The goal isn't about a number. It's about not even just. It's about a feeling. It's about where you're at mentally and physically with yourself, I think. And I just think that I was touched by that video because for me, it's not really a number. It's more about getting to a point where I have no limitations. I'm a regular person, and I don't have limitations as far as being overweight limitations. And for me, I feel like that weight, I don't know where that number is. That number, I know that I was in great shape when I was a freshman in college. I weighed 205. And this is when I was lifting weights. I was playing tennis. I was playing intramural basketball. I was going to the gym 5 days a week. I mean, this is a time when I was in the best shape of my life. And I was 205. A couple years before that, I was 182. But it was approaching a situation where I was too thin. At least people said that. And so for being 6 foot and feeling like you're too thin at 182, I'm just a heavier, thicker person, I think. And so that lower weight doesn't look right on me. But that weight might be different when you're older because like 205 for me then was very muscular. But 205 as 33, 34 years old, and as I get older, that weight, you weigh less as you're older. Your bone density is less. And this is something my doctor told me about. She wants me to be at 190 to 200. I was thinking more like 215 to 225, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to get under 200. I'm going to see what that's like. I'll probably have a bounce back time, but I will get under 200. That's a guarantee. A guarantee for myself at 6 foot. So, but anyway, just as far as where, sorry, screen timed out. As far as where I'm at, it's not a number. It's about who you are, what you can do, what your feeling is. So I agree with that. And that was a good point that you brought that up. And numbers are important. Don't get me wrong. I think if we didn't weigh each other regularly, it wouldn't hold ourselves accountable the same way. I have an Excel sheet every week I weigh. Speaking of that, I have a goal for my wife to lose weight. And this isn't something like you better lose weight because it's strictly, I tell her that I want to do everything. I've learned a lot in this journey about nutrition, health. I'm bringing healthier foods in the house. She's naturally been trying more, but it hasn't been as smooth as she's wanted so far. But lately, she's gained some traction with the weight loss, and she's starting to feel better. And I just think of her feeling better is going to make her more positive, going to make her have less fears, and in turn have a better relationship with me and my son. And so I've told her, and I'm open about this, I will be a failure if I can't help her be healthy and lose weight. And I consider that a failure if I can't help her. And that's tough because we can't just be right down every time they go to eat something, say something. Every time I go for exercise, she's got to go and give her a hard time. You can't do that. You got to lead by example, make subtle recommendations and help, and just be there to listen and help. And so that's what I'm trying to do. But I will be a failure if I don't help her lose weight. And that's something I believe. So that's a side note. Going to LessOfSarah. LessOfSarah's video, very heartfelt video. Thank you. I appreciate your openness. I mean, I even saw the video of you doing the skin, showing everything, and that's great that you're open enough to show that and to help people learn from that. And I believe you're one of the strongest ones out there as far as YouTube videos, and you do have a sense of what helps people. And so I know you've helped a ton, especially even on the women's side. I know that there's some things that that they've really learned from you, like I've learned from some of the guy stuff from Phil. But anyway, great stuff. Um, Now, one thing you talked about is self-image and seeing yourself one way and being one way. That's something that made me think, and it's something that I constantly think about. Not constantly think about, but it's something that I'm aware of, and I try to be aware of it all the time, is I have a gap theory. It's how you see yourself right here, and then how others see you, for example, in this case. And that gap can be very small, it can be very big. And we have control over that gap by being aware of how other people see us, how we truly are. So in this case, I would say the gap is how we see ourselves and how we really are, what we really look like and how we see ourselves, and that mind-body issue. Um, because I can tell you this, I was a chubby kid, I was made fun of, I cried as a kid, being overweight. Um, as I got older in high school, I made it a goal to lose weight. I did. I got into great shape. I was in great shape through the last couple years of high school, the first 2 or 3 years of college, and I saw the difference between how people are treated when they're overweight and how they're treated when they're in shape. And it's night and day. Like Phil said, people are not kind people when it comes to judging people. And, you know, there's a huge discrimination out there, and seeing both sides. And then being back heavy again and looking at, you know, job promotions and things like that. It's a huge issue. But getting back to my story here is when I lost a lot of weight later in high school, I couldn't see myself as the way I see pictures now and can't believe how thin I was. People said I was too skinny, and this is 182 at 6 foot. It's not like I was like frail, but I was really thin. And I'll show some pictures. I'm gonna do a video of my weight life in the future, but I was really thin then, and I didn't see myself that thin. To me, I was still chubby. You know, I had that chubby syndrome, fat kid syndrome, where I couldn't see myself as thin as I was, and that was a problem. You need to see yourself as who you are, so you can, I don't know, like see yourself and be that person and own that person, and not have a tendency to be unaware of where your weight's fluctuating. But anyway, and then as you know, I got in shape, or as I gained weight again, as I just a few months ago, when you see my start of this journey in my videos, that weight, I never saw myself as that weight. I never did. I saw myself closer to the weight I am now, which is, what I say, 245 or whatever it is, 247. I saw myself more at this weight instead of that 326. Where I was probably 300 to 320 for the last 5 years. I never saw myself that big. So I looked myself in the mirror, I didn't see it. I would go to places where they'd have a video camera and you could see yourself at different angles, and I would say, oh my God, I can't believe, or they take pictures. You guys have been there. They take pictures, you're like, oh my God, I look so big. And I never saw myself as that big. So now that I'm at this shape, I feel like I am more like what I always saw myself through my own eyes. And so that gap is lining up more now. And I think that's what Sarah was saying, is she's starting to line that up, but she's still having some issues kind of coming to terms with it, because I think she was overweight her whole life. I've been less weight and then gained again. So I see myself as more closer to what I am now. And ultimately, I consider myself a smart, intelligent, a word that I like is efficient. An efficient person. I love technology. I want to think smarter, not harder. This is something that I've always felt like. But when you have a morbidly obese person, people don't see you like that. And maybe that social expectation weighs on you and makes you feel like maybe you're not that. And that's the battle you deal with. But I want to get to a point where my body lines up with my efficiency as a person. And that can go in a lot of different variations, different ways. But so it's important to have an awareness of who we are and what we are and what we're going to. And I think that's important on this weight loss journey, in fact. Okay, so I'm going to move on to James. So James, I just saw your video, I think it was last night or this morning, and really talked about how you thought you had a few years left to live, like maybe 4 years. And I'm gonna get close to my family in case I'm not there. You know, I want to make sure I spend time with my nieces and cousins, and you really were preparing yourself, you know, up in your life insurance. And that goes to show you like the mindsets we have and how we accept things, and I started to accept that I'm just this overweight person and my life is kind of over in a way. And I'm gonna go to my 9 to 5. I'm gonna come home, and now that I have this son, I'm gonna make sure his life is great, and I can live through him in a way and make sure he lives a better life than I did, and he does better in sports than I did, and he does, you know, better in his career and his education, and I can live through him. But since this, I realized that, like you did, I can live through myself still. I still have a life to live. I'm 33 years old, and I know, James, you're not that much older, and all you guys watching, we have a life to live, and I want to make sure I live it as best I can, and I'm not going to give up. So, James, thanks for that. Um, so that's it, really, guys. I wanted to touch on those videos. I know that I might not have been exactly accurate on my quotations of the videos, but that's kind of how I took from it. Thank you for all your videos. Thank everybody else for making videos. I appreciate them, and all my followers. Keep making comments. Drives me to keep these videos going. I can see how people, as they get along in their life, they would have a tendency to leave this, do less with the community and do more of their own life. Because like I have a Facebook for weight loss, I have a Facebook for personal life, and I've noticed that I'm more and more on my Facebook that's real life, and they really need to be a merger and be the same. And so I feel like, as some of us, I always wondered, why do people leave? Are they gaining weight? They don't want to tell anybody. But maybe it's not. Maybe they're doing well. Like I feel like I'm doing well. But maybe it's because they're getting more into their real life again, that they got out of their real life because they didn't want to, they got more into their real life. And so they just didn't have as much time for the weight loss community. And so I'm starting to see that, but I'm going to keep it rolling. I'm going to do a video soon where you guys can ask questions. Don't do it here on those. I mean, ask questions, but I'm going to do a specific video on asking questions, and I'm going to try to open up and answer them for any of you that might be curious about me. So thanks again, guys, and have a great day.